everyone. So I was asked a really interesting question in my DMs. And by the way, I love getting questions from all of you, so keep the questions coming. I think you know this by now. I make a point to respond to each and every one, sometimes just a personal message back, sometimes through a video. And I like doing it through a video because then everyone reaps the benefits of the response. So, and by the way, person listening to this who asked this question, I responded in a TikTok video, and then I was like, I did post it on TikTok, but I'm not going to share it here because I got through with it, and I was like, that was so rushed. This is way more to explain than just 3 minutes is going to take. So if you want to see the TikTok version, I'm at Change Your Mind with Chris, same username. So the question was essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, when you, meaning me, or people like Dolores Cannon say that life is like a play, it trivializes life for me. Like, can you speak to that? And it's a really cool question. And my immediate response back is, why is that a bad thing for you, right? And I don't mean this in any kind of offensive way at all, but it's interesting to think about, to like reflect on this, right? Like, why does life have to be this big, heavy, serious thing, right? Why can't it be a fun thing, right? So like, I believe life is fun, right? It's a game. You can manifest into your life a lot of things using the law of attraction, right? You get to carve out this life that you want. We're put here with this like blank slate. We're just this like lump of dough, right? We get to craft the life that we want, the life of our dreams. And, you know, side note, the problem is so many people don't follow their dreams, or they don't understand that they can create this life of their dreams and have fun with it. And they end up doing kind of like what societal pressures or what their parents or what whoever in their life is telling them they should do, or what they believe they should do because of like cultural conditioning. But when we view that life as this like big, heavy, intense thing, you know, the law of attraction is real. So, right, that's the energy that you're like living in. You're like marinating in that, right? So you're going to put that out there, and you're going to get these like heavy, intense experiences back to you. And, you know, like, why does life have to be that way, right? Like, I believe Earth is a school, right? And I've talked about this a lot, and we're here to learn lessons. And one of the big lessons in the school of Earth is to learn how to manipulate energy, right? Learn how to use the law of attraction. So then when we rise in consciousness levels in our next lifetimes, that law or that power becomes immediate, right? So we manifest something and like, boom, it immediately appears in our life. And like, that's a scary thought, right? So that's why time exists in this 3D man-made construct, right? Because time as we know it, the rest of the universe, the rest of the dimensions and schools and worlds don't experience time like we do. Time is here on 3D Earth so that it gives us that little bit of a gap between what we're manifesting and it materializing into our life. And so, you know, we're here to learn lessons, and like some people get stuck on the wheel of karma, right? And they reincarnate, or they don't learn the lessons they're supposed to, and they reincarnate over and over and over into life as a human, right? Into the school of Earth. And others learn the lessons they're meant to learn here very quickly, and then they move on to the next dimension, the next world, the next school, next lesson. And it could be as a different being. Like, I've gotten QHHT sessions where this is my first life on Earth that I learned in QHHT, right? Every other life that I've has come up in my past life regression sessions has been on a different world as a different being. And I mildly lost my train of thought, but the point is, like, we're here for a short time to learn this thing, and then we move on. And, you know, I know that life feels so big and important. Like, the things that happen here feel so important, right? It's like life and death. And like, oh my God, I went through this like terrible breakup. I went through this like awful disease. I went through, you know, I lost my job, like whatever, I lost this person who I care about, right? And like, I'm not trying to trivialize that, right? Like, I understand how big and real and important those things feel. And same with these relationships that we cultivate here, right? Like, I mean, I love my husband more than like anything in the world, right? I relate to that. And I think this idea of like trivializing is like, you know, if this whole thing is just like a play, then like, are those relationships even real? Do they really mean anything? And like, you know, pretty good chance that the people you're close to in this life are part of your soul family. So you reincarnate over and over again into each other's lives. You're going to see them after you die in that realm on the other side of the veil. And you're all going to be in a different form than in your human body, but you're going to recognize each other because of your distinct energy, right? How you recognize someone's energy. And won't that be cool to see each other in their true form? Like, my dog passed away in May, and she was like my spirit animal. Like, I always said she was the ET to my Elliot. And like, my husband and I talk all the time. We're like, we can't wait to die, because we're like, we just can't wait to see what like Soda Pop looks like her true form, right? Which is like, that sounds morbid. We can't wait to die, but like there's no fear there, and like there is a little bit of anticipation and excitement to like be reconnected with her again. But you know, the people in your life who you're close to and you care about, you're going to reincarnate with them over and over. They're part of your soul family. You'll be in other lifetimes with them. You'll play different characters for each other, right? Like, maybe someone's your mom here, and they're going to be your sister, your lover, your child in your next life. But they're going to be there. And I don't know, like, instead of looking at it as like this one life, like, here's the beginning when I'm born, here's the end when I die, it's this long, like, this is what I've got. Like, what if you expanded your view? What if you expanded your view and like you stepped back and you were like, here's a life, 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 here's a life. But like, you can look at that whole train together. And instead of like each lifetime having a beginning and end, like, you look at the beginning from when you came from source, and you look at the end from when you go back to source, and you see this whole progression. You see how you learned and grew. You see why everything you went through mattered and was important and needed to happen so that you could learn and grow and evolve. You see why certain things like trailed from lifetime to lifetime. You're like, oh my gosh, that one thing, I couldn't overcome that lesson, and it showed up in these different but similar ways throughout all these lifetimes. And like, here's that time where I got stuck in the school of earth for like 100 lifetimes, and like, here's where I went off and did this, and like, it's like mind-blowing, and it's hard to put yourself there, but like, it's trivial what's going on here, but it's also not. It's like, I own a yoga studio too, and I always say that to people. I'm like, yeah, it's yoga, it's important, but it's also just yoga. You know, like, it's important and it's serious, but it's also like not, and take it easy and take it a little, like, hold it lightly, right? And it's like this beautiful experience that's unraveling, this play that's unraveling, starring you as the lead role. And you're important, and you're worthy and deserving and loving, and the world, the universe would be missing something without your unique energy. Right? This is not trivial. You are a part of source. You came down here and experienced this whole story, right? And then you go back. And there's trillions of other souls ahead of you on this path and behind you on this path. And they have this whole story, right? In Between Death and Life, Dolores Cannon talks about how there's this tapestry, and it tells the story of all of life. Right? And like, you can go there. It's like in the place after death, and there's different places, right? There's the library, there's the place you go to, the resting place to like recover if you've had like an intense life. There's the place where you watch your life, what just happened with your spirit guides, and you plan out your next life. And there's this tapestry room, and it's this giant tapestry with all these threads of different sizes and weights and colors and materials, and like ones you can't even picture, and they don't exist in our realm, right? And you can see like your little thread in there, right? Your little thread amidst like trillions and trillions of other threads, and it all weaves together to create this like incredible tapestry of like the universe and all life everywhere. And you can see like how little yours is, but you can also see how the tapestry wouldn't be complete without yours. And I hope this kind of answers your question. I know I went off and wow, my timer's at 10 minutes now. But I think it's a good question. And I think just, again, going back to the original question, like, does this trivialize life? Like, why is that a scary thing to have life be trivialized? You know, like, we're put here with a few set things, right? We know how we're going to be born. We know how we're going to die. We know some big life circumstances that are going to happen to us. And the rest of that is like free will, everything else that happens, right? You can use the law of attraction. You're going to consciously create, whether you're aware of it or not, because we are creators, right? We're always using the law of attraction, whether that's to manifest good or bad, right? But if you go in trying to control everything, like clenching your fists and tightening your shoulders and your jaw against life and like trying to control it, like that type A personality, like you're going to drive yourself crazy. Right? You are not meant to control this whole thing. Right? And it's just like, relax your shoulders, trust the process. Yeah. And trusting the process can be scary. And that doesn't mean just like sitting back and letting things happen to you. Like, you can still be that conscious creator and use the law of attraction. But like, sometimes the universe is going to redirect you to a path that you're meant to go on. Right? Maybe you're not meant to, I don't know, like go straight to reach the place that you're meant to be to grow and learn that next lesson. Maybe you need to take a hard right and the universe redirects you. And maybe sometimes redirection happens because you're headed for something that's not meant for you, right? So there's a lot that we can't see from our limited viewpoint, right? It's like being in a maze when you're like there in the corn maze and like the corn's up over your head versus like being in a drone or like a tower over and like seeing the whole picture, right? Because it's all happening for a reason, right? There's a purpose behind it all. And like that in and of itself is kind of comforting, right? Like there's a purpose to it all. Like you are here for a purpose. And again, like without you being here, the universe would be missing something. You are important in this whole scheme, but trust the process. Don't drive yourself crazy trying to make it so serious and trying to control it all so much. Like, just ask yourself, maybe meditate on it. What if I allowed life to be a little more trivial? What if I allowed it to be a little more fun? What if I allowed myself to view it more like a game and just like trusted and went with the flow of it a little bit more? Cool. So hopefully that answers your question or gives you another starting point or another way to think about it, look at it. My name is Chris Ashley, for those who don't know me. I'm a life coach. I'm an author. I have a book coming out soon called Change Your Mind to Change Your Reality. My website is changeyourmindtochangeyourreality.com. And if you head over there and sign up for my newsletter, I will send you a free guide that's going to help you manifest your dream life right away. And I'll see you soon.